Well, behind Marian there is a whole team of board members and volunteers helping her. And I'm going to invite Greg, Helen, to give you an overview of the work that has been done by the students who go overseas with their help. Okay.
Thank you, Winnie. I haven't been in this building for a long time, but I remember it well from my student days. If you wanted to find a book, you had to search through large wooden file boxes of hand-typed cards. Anybody else remember those days? No? Well, I guess I'm the oldest person in the room then, eh? Downstairs there was one of the first Xerox machines. It took the whole room. We used to stand in line. There was only one copying machine in the whole building. How times have changed. Traveling overseas was something you planned to do after graduation, and then it would be your typical European vacation. I think they made a movie about that too. Now, about 16 years ago, a small group of people wanted to do something meaningful for the seniors in our community, and that was the grassroots origin of the nonprofit Care Society. The goal of the society was to provide opportunities for seniors living in low-income housing to get out of isolation and more integrated with their communities. And I have many good memories of many van trips taking small groups of seniors to various locations for an afternoon outing. Merry-go-round in Burnaby. Anybody been on that one? Good. Some of the brave ones went across the Lynn Canyon Bridge. That's not the Capilano suspension, that's the Lynn Canyon Bridge. And here at UBC, the Botanical Gardens. Now this was good, a good start. But the founder of Care Society, Marian Mann, wanted to expand the reach of care. And she's never one to think small. So she flew to Hong Kong and talked with the executives of Asia Miles and Cathay Pacific Airlines and made them a proposal. She wanted Asia Miles members to be able to donate their surplus or unused points to our charitable organization to assist in family reunification and other humanitarian work. Now, I'm happy to say Marian was successful and a partnership with Asia Miles was formed. As an early example of this outcome, I remember driving to the Vancouver airport to meet a woman. Now, she was a farmer from a poor region in China who had never flown before in her life. And this is the lady right in the center. She's just off the plane. Her daughter had come to Canada years before and was a brilliant student at Simon Fraser University, working on her PhD. Then this young woman developed a very rare form of cancer, heart cancer. And her mother could have never afforded a last visit with her daughter without assistance. And we were able to provide that assistance to her. Now, on a happier note, there was a reunification by an elderly man living in a downtown East Side residence who was reunited with his brother who lived overseas after 70 years of separation. This is their meeting after 70 years. Each had not known the other was alive. And we evolved. Following the devastating tsunami in Asia, we were contacted by a professor at York University. Could we provide transportation to Chennai, India, for a group of students with expertise in reconstruction? The devastation was immense. And with the generous donation of points from Asia Miles members, we were able to do that. Some of the faces waiting for new buildings, new housing. Now at this point, a very dynamic member of the UBC community, Winnie, heard about our activities. With her valuable assistance, CARE began a relationship that provided and continues to provide air transport for student-initiated humanitarian projects. And that's what brings us here today. Now, many of you in this room have initiated these projects, and these are projects that change lives. They've certainly changed the lives of people in over 25 countries that the students have traveled to. And I believe the students will tell you themselves that their own lives have been changed by the process of developing and undertaking your projects. Positive changes. And in the past few years, we've provided travel assistance for over 200 people going to all parts of the world. That's the map so far, and we hope to fill it in even more as the years go on. For those of you who may not know what type of projects the students have initiated and Care Society has supported, let's look at a brief sampler from the past few years. Devin Rasmussen went to a beautiful country, Swaziland, that now has thousands of orphans. He and his team helped grandmothers build a community center because now they had to raise their grandchildren because their own children had been lost by the scourge of HIV/AIDS. Devin has continued his humanitarian work and this year recently returned from the Philippines. Yashir Karamati traveled to the Philippines following devastating typhoons. His project, called Pictures of Perseverance, in which children from the impoverished slum areas hardest hit by the typhoon took photographs with simple disposable cameras, showing how poverty affects their lives and their families' lives. Funds raised by the sale of these photographs are donated to give the children more educational facilities in an effort to break the cycle of poverty they're trapped in. Now, I just heard from Yashir a few days ago, and he's in South Africa right now, and he's working on a project similar to this with South African impoverished children. Carrie Canning went to South Africa. Her interest and goal was to assist in the preservation of oral history of a society, the stories and memories of non-white South Africans who have traditionally been left at the sidelines of the world's documentary history. There are limited records to tell the stories of the masses, and Carrie helped preserve and archive those stories. Michelle Quapis traveled to Mozambique in Africa, where her humanitarian project involved outreach work to children living here in the garbage dump. Her goal was to provide basic medical care and helping to build morale in horrible living conditions. In Michelle's words, to know that people live this reality every day is incomprehensible, and my heart was heavy as I struggled to understand why some people get dealt such a terrifying hand in life. Rebecca Gu traveled to Costa Rica to assist in the preservation of sea turtles, which are now an endangered species due to human impact, natural predators, and environmental conditions. Now, Rebecca photographed those eggs, but it assures me they are not the giant size they appear to be in this photograph. Karen Dixon traveled to Tanzania to volunteer at a women's health clinic located in the Kilimanjaro region. The clinic specializes in supporting the health and social needs of high-risk women. Thank you, Karen, and I believe you're here today for the quality of your photos. I think pictures can tell a story with great impact, and we look forward at CARE to hearing and seeing all your projects. Andrea Bradshaw's project was in Peru following the devastation of a scale 8 magnitude earthquake in the San Andres area. She assisted in the reconstruction efforts giving presentations to the local workers on earthquake-safer adobe building methods. Now, I'm sorry my time is up to go through these slides because there's many more stories I could tell, but I know that you have your own stories. And as we receive our stories, pictures, and videos from returning students, we hope to have additional information sessions like today's in the coming year. And just as a bit of an aside, I would like to encourage you, if you happen to be Asia Miles points owners or know somebody who does, family, friends, and if any of those points are expiring, even if it's the last day before expiration, if they're donated to CARE, then we get another 3 years use out of them, and we will turn them back over to projects like the ones you've seen and your type of projects. And now it's time to hear some of the stories from the participating students yourselves. And I think you'll all find them interesting and informative. Thank you.
Could you call on the first one? Can you call on the first student?
That's Nora.
Angela first.
Nora.
Okay. Thank you very much. May I call upon Nora, Dr. Angeles? All right. We're going to start with your group. You have a student here who will be representing, so you introduce your student, okay? Do you prefer to stand here, or you prefer to stand here? Sorry. Thank you.
I want to thank, first of all, the CARE Society for all the support that they have given us, because 12 of my students would not have been able to go to the Philippines on top of heavy student loans, high cost of living in Vancouver, and high cost of education, to enable them to do the humanitarian and it's a community service learning experience, first of all, that they have done in the Philippines. And I want to introduce Sarah Gillette, who is an MA candidate at the School of Community and Regional Planning, to speak to you and share their stories on behalf of the 15 students who went to Playa del Bulacan, Philippines this summer. Sarah, welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. So as Nora said, I'm representing a group of 15 of us who went this summer to Playa del Bulacan province in the Philippines as part of a field course run by the School of Community and Regional Planning. So I'm going to talk briefly about what the objectives of this course were, talk about the partners that made this project possible, talk about how we achieved those objectives, and show you some photos to give you a snapshot of what our daily life in the Philippines looked like. And finally end by talking about what we left behind and what personally I learned from being on this experience. So the purpose of the course, first and foremost, is to undertake community service learning. So this is really education in which service is at the core of it. That rather than sitting through lectures while we were there, we were actively engaged in projects that had been developed in collaboration with Nora and the community to think about what are the projects, what are the needs of this community, what can the students help with. And through doing that work and through structured reflection, the students achieved quite a bit of learning, very valuable learning. Specifically, we focused on the practice and challenges of municipal development planning and governance because we are all planning students, all currently doing our masters. Other course objectives was really to appreciate the real world of planning and planning implementation, and specifically challenges in government-society interaction in a typical municipality in a developing country, and to provide meaningful inputs to municipal development planning processes. So the people involved in all this, well, there were 15 SCARP students. Here's some of them. And although we're all in the same master's program, we all come from different backgrounds and have different interests. Nora, a very important partner. So what was really unique about this course is that Nora has pre-existing relationships with the municipal staff, with organizations in the community, and 2 years ago was able to bring a group of students who conducted community-based research. And those students created reports making recommendations, and our group really had the chance to implement some of those recommendations. So even though we were only there for a month, and a month really is not a lot of time, we were able to build on work of previous students and build on the relationships that Nora had in the community, which really made our experience very much more worthwhile than if we had just been plopped in. Our key partner was the municipality of Plaridel. They really welcomed us and allowed us to work side by side with them on some of the issues that they wanted us to look at. Were very open with us and getting reports and any information that we might need in order to help them, and were incredibly welcoming and spoiled us with many celebrations and events and gifts, and we were very, very grateful to have such supportive partners. Another very important partner was the Social Action Center in St. James Parish. They're located in this beautiful Catholic church, which also was our home while we were there, and right across the street from the Municipal Hall. And the Social Action Center does some very important work with, particularly with residents of the informal settlements. And of course, Care Housing Society, for without their support, many of the students would not have been able to afford to participate in this course. So when we got to the Philippines, we organized ourselves in 3 different groups, and these were the topics that we looked at. We had one group focused on solid waste management, climate change, public education. Another group focused on business skill development, microfinance, and cooperatives. And finally, the group I was part of was workshops around strategic planning, feasibility studies, and monitoring and evaluation. So each of these groups worked to develop a workshop and to deliver it to different members of the community. On top of this, our other goal on the request of the municipality was to leave behind some monitoring and evaluation tools, because that was something that the municipal office really felt that they needed support in. So each of us were part of a group that worked with a particular department in the municipal office. And these are the 4 departments we worked with: social welfare, the agricultural office, the environment office, and the municipal planning and development office. So how we achieved our objectives. Core to the work that we did there was really working in collaboration with local organizations. So those partners that I mentioned before, working side and side with them was really how we achieved our objectives. And there was also a consistent desire to always train the people that we were working with to continue the work that we were doing while we were there. So specifically in the microfinance business skills workshop and in the solid waste management workshop, by the end of our stay there, we had trained local residents to give those workshops, and they were actually delivering the workshops by the end, which we were very grateful that we were able to do that while we were there. And also, in organizing ourselves in those 3 teams and by working together in groups, that was another way that we were able to achieve our objectives. So what did we do while we were there? Well, we were really busy. It all went by such a blur. But just to give you a few snapshots, we attended a lot of events. We were often the guest of honor at some sort of celebration or event. In this photo, we're being introduced at the weekly flag ceremony in front of the entire municipality. We spent, particularly in our first week, doing site visits and visiting the local organizations, getting a sense of what was going on. In the photo above, we're at one of the informal settlements interviewing residents to get a sense of the issues before we started diving into our workshops. And then, of course, we spend a lot of time facilitating workshops. So just to give you a little idea of what our life was like, we lived in this beautiful 16th century Catholic church. Up at the top there, that's where we would eat. Down at the bottom, you'll see the big room that all 10 girls shared, so we got to know each other very well. You'll see some of the church staff, and one of the weekends we were there, it just happened to be this huge religious celebration, so a few of us, as we stumbled out of our room, all of a sudden realized the entire community was at the church, all dressed in their Sunday best. So that's at the top there, a celebration that we got to be a part of. Some of us are transportation, in the transportation stream, so we're fascinated by how people get around in the Philippines. Tricycles, we spend a lot of time in tricycles, in jeepneys, and there's one particular tour, there was these big SUVs that they wanted to drive us around in, but we all really wanted to sit in the back of the pickup truck, so they let us. And they just thought we were really weird. And we did a lot of celebrating. The Filipino culture is very, they just love to celebrate, and they love karaoke. So there we did a lot of karaoke. The local dance troupe did a beautiful performance for us soon after we arrived. There was another celebration in which there were dance instructors, and so many of us did quite a bit of dancing. And on the bottom there, that's actually a part of one of our workshops, the balloon tossing. We sort of picked up on the fact that they really like celebration and games, and we were really able to incorporate that in our workshops. And so in this is an icebreaker that involved balloons that went off. It was a huge hit. So we tried to incorporate celebration in our work there. So in terms of what we left behind, I mean, whether it's in an international context or a local context, I think that whenever you can get students to focus on projects, you're often really creating a huge increase in human resources. You're able to do things that, it's not necessarily that the municipal staff or any of the people there couldn't have done it themselves, it's just that they don't have the time and the resources to do it. And the students, we often have time and resources. So that was a huge help to the municipal staff and to the Social Action Center. Also, we left behind trained facilitators and also very detailed workshop notes so that all those workshops could continue to happen once we left. We offered a different perspective, which, sometimes we would miss something just because of different ways, because we come from a different culture, and other times approaching a problem from a different perspective was actually really effective. So that was nice when that happened. And finally, we left them all. We'd all developed monitoring and evaluation tools, and were able to give those hard copies of that as well as electronic copies with the hopes that they adapt those tools and use them so that they can best serve their needs in the future. And of course, what did we learn? Well, in planning, we need to work in groups a lot. And this was a wonderful group work experience in terms of testing your ability to work effectively in a group in really tight quarters and seeing the same people for 24 hours, 7 days a week. But we organized ourselves really well, and it was really effective, and I take away from that a huge amount of learning. Add to the intensity of just being in a different country and all sharing a room and new foods and all that, having to work cross-culturally. So sometimes there were language barriers, but often there was we had so much learning to do in terms of, how does a meeting unfold? What does meet at 2 o'clock mean? How does there were so many things that we had to learn, and just from working in that context. And I think that just makes you such a stronger professional to be able to adapt to a different working environment. And of course, as a planning student, it's really important to be able to work in different contexts and to do the kind of work that we do in a different context really is going to contribute to our professional development greatly. sometimes things were more similar than you would expect. For example, the workshop I worked on, strategic planning and monitoring, that's not something that over here in Canada we've mastered and every organization has impeccable monitoring systems. It's something that many organizations around the world need to have a look at. So it was nice to see that in some ways a municipal organization in the Philippines has very similar challenges in some ways to a Canadian organization. But of course there are very different challenges as well, and the scale of some of the issues are quite different. And solid waste management, I think, was an example where when we got there we were almost shocked at the lack of regulation and enforcement around solid waste management issues on the one hand. But then on the other hand, although the work that we did there was very important, we also realized that the entire informal economy that deals with solid waste in the Philippines is such that they're actually probably better than we are at recuperating everything that is of value and diverting waste from the stream. So that was really interesting learning, that we had something to teach, but we also had something to learn from being in the Philippines. So that is all I have to say about that. Salamat po, everyone.
We may have to change the order of the program.
Okay. I'll get violin first.
No, it's the last group first because they have to leave, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay, so it's going to be the group from the Chelsea Benny.
Okay. We have a change in the program. We are going to invite Chelsea Benny up here now. Is Chelsea here? Yes, very good. Originally, we have a presentation on a project in Colombia. Unfortunately, that student cannot be here today, so thank you, Chelsea. And
Shireen.
Shireen. Okay, here you go.
Okay. Hi, my name is Chelsea Benny, and this is Shireen Enns. Thank you. And we went to Calcutta, India, to the Indian Institute of Cerebral Palsy. So we're going to tell you a little bit about our experience. We went in March and April of this year, and we went with 4 students. That's the 4 of us there sightseeing on the weekend. Myself, Shireen, and then that's Ashaya and Megan. So we are all occupational therapy students.
We're actually now recent graduates, but okay. So there's the 4 of us. So we went to the Indian Institute of Cerebral Palsy. It's a special center for children with cerebral palsy. It's been working since 1974. Fighting for the rights for people with disabilities, particularly CP. So the IICP seeks to bring about positive changes in the lives of people with cerebral palsy through a range of policies and service provisions designed to enhance their individual skills and knowledge. Can I elaborate on this slide? Okay. So it's based in Calcutta. It's nationally recognized, works in partnership with a lot of different NGOs in districts of West Bengal and in 11 other states of India. It has vast international linkages. It's linked with our department, the UBC Department of Occupational Therapy, works with advocacy groups and the UN Convention of the Rights for Persons with Disabilities.
And just so you know, this is a picture of a little girl from the Family Services Center. She has a very mild case of CP, and she was very adorable, and all she wanted to do was dance.
Okay, so the center contains a school for children. There's about 160 students who attend the school every day. There's also family clinics, baby clinics, adult vocational units, and hydrotherapy. Do you want to talk about the units?
So people come in from all around different parts of India, because this is sort of an internationally known center for cerebral palsy. So we had families come in with, and few of them spoke English, few of them spoke even Hindi, so many even spoke Bengali.
Yeah, anyone can actually bring their children in. they just hear about it, and they have special clinics daily and weekly, and parents from all over the country can just bring their kids in and have professionals like physiotherapists and occupational therapists take a look at them and try and give them a diagnosis. The difference in India is physios and OTs can diagnose cerebral palsy. In Canada, it's doctors, but there the doctors actually refer them to the physios and OTs.
Yeah. So this picture, sorry. That picture was just at the baby clinic. Different families come in with their children, not knowing what sort of diagnosis their children have.
So like we said, we worked with doctors, physiotherapists, occupational therapists, social workers, special education teachers, teachers' assistants, and then there were janitorial caretakers and guards all in this facility. It was a very large facility.
Yeah.
And this is in the physio clinic working with one of our children. So the school ranges from 7 years of age to 16 years of age. They come from a variety of socioeconomic backgrounds. There's a sliding scale at the school for how much families make. So they do. Some people have to pay for school and some people don't, depending on their income background. And there's also special service or special space provided for children from the Mother Teresa orphanages. So some of the things that we did here. We did some physiotherapy with the kids.
Yeah, so cerebral palsy, if anyone doesn't know, is a movement disorder, so there's a lot of physical therapies that the children require, so we did daily physio with them.
So all the students there get to come to physio once a week. Different class will come every day, and they get physio treatments.
So this is a little girl, she's 9, she has severe spastic athetoid cerebral palsy, and we're doing a assessment of just measuring her for a chair.
So one of the things as occupational therapists that we do is make seating recommendations, the different types of supports that they might need in their chairs.
And this is Megan here with Bishu, one of our favorite little boys. He was having our handwriting assessment right now, and then we were just having different recommendations for him.
They also have a hydrotherapy pool that was donated to them a few years back. So they use that, the kids again, kind of like physiotherapy, once a week they get to come in for a hydrotherapy session. So, which was really unique as occupational therapists here in Canada. We probably wouldn't have gotten that experience anywhere. But going here, we got to do this a couple of times a week and learn from the physios and do hydrotherapy with the kids. And it was pretty fun. They just throw us in the pool. We're like, okay, go for it. And they loved it. Yeah. A lot of the kids love the pool. With CP, the water gives them a medium that they can actually move their muscles and get that kind of stability, and so it really provides a lot of freedom for them to be in the pool.
Mm-hmm. We also helped out, so essentially there's a vocational training as part of the cerebral palsy center, so they had catering training, so people would learn how to, cut vegetables and different things like that, moving up to leading and orchestrating entire kitchen. And they would train for 2 years at the facility and then get placed in different jobs around Calcutta and in the city.
They also made our lunches every day. So mealtime management was another area that we helped out with.
Yeah, a lot of the children that we were working with had swallowing difficulties, so we did assessments and made recommendations there as well.
And so this little boy, Eritrea, is one of the boys that I got to work with too, and a lot of it was different positioning for seating to make these kids independent so that they could feed themselves, because when we came in there, a lot of them are getting fed every day by someone else, so they don't have any independence. So our roles as occupational therapists, we're trying to provide them with ways that they could become more independent. And one of the big things that I saw, these two kids here, we got them some sippy cups that they were able to grab onto, and it was actually something they'd never been offered before, and so it was really fun to see them. They were so excited to have these sippy cups that they could actually control when they could drink and when they didn't want to, so they were really excited about them, so it was fun.
Okay, so we did a little bit of community outreach. I'll just read this. ICP covers 23 slums and has helped to motivate field workers, families in the community to include persons with disability in mainstream life. This is a picture of a makeshift wheelchair that they had out there. Community development projects focusing on disability and development in rural and semi-rural communities in the districts of West Bengal are conducted in partnership with three development agencies as well as reputed corporate house.
So we got to go out with one of the workers and go out into one of these slums and go see some of their clients out there, and someone had donated different seatings for them, so we got to see these new seating systems they had and made recommendations for that. It's pretty cool to see. Okay, so the IFB was actually one of the corporate sponsors of these rural villages. It's a factory situated in rural Bengal, and it supports children with disabilities in neighboring villages. It collaborates with the Indian Institute of Cerebral Palsy and provides funding and assessments and interventions that are recommended by the outreach workers. So that's what we did. We went out there and made recommendations, and then this organization would fund those seating and those types of things.
And it's very clear how you can see the community. Like, we just came to see this one little boy, and everyone in the entire village came to see what we were saying and what the recommendations were.
We got invited out for a lot of lunches, too. This was an outreach that me and another girl did one weekend. We went to a village of Asansol, and there was actually a special educator who used to work for the Indian Institute of Cerebral Palsy and then went on his own, and this is a volunteer project that he does. He opens up this kind of like a little physiotherapy room, and anyone in the neighboring area can bring their children in with disabilities for free, and we walked in there, and there was literally a tiny little room full of like 40 families, and we sat there for 4 hours as family after family came by, and we got to assess their child and make recommendations for them. So it was pretty crazy. Here you go to a doctor or physiotherapist, and it's you and them in the room, and there it's like the whole community surrounding them, and you're basically telling everyone what you think they should do. So it was neat that they were providing this free service for all these families who couldn't afford it otherwise.
The physios and all the other healthcare professionals there were very inspiring to work with, because they worked all day at the school, then they had like private practice to make enough to kind of survive in the evenings, and then on the weekends they volunteered at all sorts of different places and had different centers like this, so they pretty well like worked all the time.
So in some of our spare time, we actually volunteered at the Mother Teresa Home for the Sick and the Dying and Destitute. So this wasn't part of our project, but this was something that we did on the side, and it was in kind of our local community. So it was very, very interesting. We all went there a few times and did some volunteer work there.
Yeah. In Kolkata, there's just so much good to do. Like, it was a very humbling and amazing experience.
Yeah. So I think for all of us, the sponsorship we received from CARE was pretty integral. Like you said before, we're all students, and this was a pretty big part of what made it possible for us to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, there's a lot to take in and a lot of good stuff. I'm going to get the third team to be ready. We're keeping all the questions to the end, okay? So I'll invite everybody to come out later, and you can ask them questions. So keep your good questions. And now we have our third presentation. Truhan, you're going to introduce your teammates. Thank you.
So on behalf of Learn Love Home, we really want to thank CARE Society for making this project possible. UBC students and the Learn Love Home staff went on missions to Africa, Philippines, Fiji, and Nepal.
to support the charity work for the children and the poor. The goal of Learn Up Home is to care for the needy by providing continuous relevant services and organizing various activities. Learn Up Home has been doing this for the past 4 years, and by setting up children's homes and education sponsorship programs. The result is very rewarding and beneficial, both to the receiver and to the giver. This is really possible because the work is based upon dedicated volunteers. So I'd like to invite Joe Lee, an architecture student, to share his story.
Hi everyone, my name is Joe. I'm currently studying architecture in UBC. I'm very grateful for our opportunity to go to Africa this past summer. I went to Madagascar, Zambia, and South Africa to support the charity services. Besides supporting the feeding programs and the education sponsorship program, my main task was to take pictures and videos. I believe that by taking pictures and videos and show them to more people, I can raise awareness of these issues in these countries. When I returned from the trip, I used the design skills I learned from architecture school and made various products. So the photos I helped take, I made fundraising products such as photo books and calendars for next year. So if you are interested, you can take a look at them on the booth in the next room. And also the video I helped taken were made into documentary films. So I will first show the following short video to show you what we did and what we saw.
Foreign countries. They are very different from those living in modern cities. I can't communicate with them, and I don't know their stories. Sometimes I have to pass by them hastily. Yet to me, they are never inferior, lowly, or ordinary. We are different, yet the same, honorable and unique. It's just that they may not know it, or they might not be treated that way. Look into their eyes, their expressions, their movements, and their surroundings. What do you see? What have you realized?
We visited this family in Zambia. There's only a grandmother with over 40 of her grandchildren, who are all orphans. There was a grieving scene. She asked, "Why don't I have my parents to send me to school?" She wept and turned her head away. She didn't want us to see her distress in her heart. The elderly told me about her lack. In their own language, they asked her to stand up. I did not understand. Why did she not face us? As I approached her, I saw her tears. She was flipping through a textbook. Not being able to go to school, she could only waste her days away at home. Was she weeping that she didn't have her parents? Was she sad because she could not go to school? She is just nobody from a corner of the world. Who would ever care about her?
呢個阿伯咧，佢有4個細佬哥，但係佢太太咧已經都係太窮嘅，離開咗佢哋咁咯。而家剩翻佢4個，咁佢平時咧都係冇飯食㗎。咁佢哋要出嚟乞錢啦，同埋乞嘢食。就算佢哋着啲衫啊、啲帽啊，都係人哋俾佢，佢先有得用啊咁。 咁我哋咧開學校嗰時候咧就周圍去探啊，咁就嚟咗呢一間屋，咁就揾到佢哋咧。咁而家佢哋4個咧都係喺我哋學校度讀書嘅。
During the interview, the eldest son could not help crying. Later we asked him, "What's wrong?" He said, "No one has cared for them like that for a long time." When we offered food and clothing to this family, the father also shed tears.
We devoted ourselves to help, to care, and to share. When we see the results, we are really happy.
The winter in South Africa is hard to bear. There were hot soup and rice. There were many children.
The Light and Love Basic School and the Children's Home in Madagascar have blessed the local children.
Kami sambulan tumatati di bullets manarka fitas of things.
Eddie is an orphan. When he first came to the children's home, he was self-protected and he hardly trusted us. However, after getting along with us for a long time, he knew that we were truthful believers of God, and he felt our love, and he believed that we cared for him. He changed tremendously.
There was a scene in the video that was so grieving and heartbreaking that I had difficulty continuing in the filming. It was the scene where we met the girl in the Zambian village. At first I didn't know what was happening, but then when I realized what she was crying for, I was really moved. She was crying that she couldn't go to school. And one thing that really caught my heart is that it only requires $100 to pay the tuition fee each year in high school. $100 is not a lot to me. It will makes me think about my own value system. Sometimes I will buy a nice bag or a pair of shoes which costs a lot more than $100. So when I came back, I became much more considerate about how I spend my money. When I came back, I want to upgrade to a better bike. Now I don't have a bike, but I want a better bike. But when I think about her and other people that I met in the trip, I cancel my purchase and use my own bike. And one action that I took is, there's a lot of unused electronics in my family, so I collect it from my dad, collect them from my mom, and sell them on eBay. And one scene during the filming that really caught my heart is the school in Madagascar. Not only we can provide free education for them, but we also provide free lunches to them Monday to Saturday. So to some of them, it might be the only meal in their entire day. And when I was filming how eager they are to go to the lunchroom and how fast they eat the lunch, it might take just a few minutes to finish the whole meal. When I saw how happy they were, I felt very encouraged. I felt what I do can really make a difference to many people's lives. When I became more involved in the volunteering, my parents were very supportive of what I'm doing, and they also volunteered to help raise funds by selling the fundraising products that I produced it. And they sold dozens of calendars and especially the photo books to my family and relatives. So when I joined this trip to Africa, not only I can go and bless people, but it become a blessing to me as well as my family. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. I'm also very thankful that I was given the opportunity to join the mission. My goal was to motivate the youth. My goal was to motivate the youths at the University of Cape Town to support the charity locally so that the long-term work can continue after I leave. I assisted in setting up the Love Your Neighbor Club there and support the members to bring donations of clothing to this poor area, in a settlement area called Ankanini. It's one of the poorest settlements in that area. And those are the students who went with us to this area. And in this area, there's a lot of very poor people. A lot of people who had no family, even no electricity and no food. And when the people came, when we brought the donations, and they were so happy. We went to a daycare, and the principal of the daycare, that's her, she was so happy to receive the first pair of shoes that has no holes. All her 6 other pairs of shoes had holes. And also, I was to my surprise that in Cape Town, I thought Africa should be hot. I never knew that in Africa it's cold. So, and when I went there, they were so happy, the children were so happy to receive the winter clothing. And we supported them to provide warm meals to face the harsh winter. We met the community leaders of that settlement, and they were very surprised because most charities, they come, they leave their stuff, they donate, and then they leave. But to their surprise, they were very impressed that we wanted to support them in a long-term basis. And how were we able to do that? Because we had dedicated volunteers from the Love Your Neighbor Club at UCT and also from Light and Love Home. And going to this area here, I really realized that in this place, not only do the people, they face poverty, but they also face many social problems. Especially to this trip in Ankanini, I found that I faced many fatherless children because a lot of the parents, they die from AIDS or they leave. And many broken families. Facing the challenge to survive is already a great challenge, right? But they also have to face the emotional scar of being forsaken or abused. And that was very heartbreaking to me. One scene that was very sad was this scene of this baby. He's less than 2 years old, but you notice what he carried on his bottle there? Usually babies, they drink milk, but actually they don't have money to provide milk for him, so they drank something called porridge. It's porridge. And you can see he's malnourished. But even more grieving was that I found out that his parents left him, and he's under the care of his grandmother there. One time, his grandmother had to go to work in the fields for 2 weeks, and this baby was left at home crying. No one to comfort him. When I encounter such stories, I really feel that I can relate with them. Why? Because I also came from a broken family and was often very depressed during my youth and wanted to commit suicide a lot of time. I really hated life, even though I lived in North America. Many times I would cry to sleep and wish I never wake up again. But later on, I met some Christians and discovered that there is meaning in life. There is hope in life. And going on these mission trips, I really helped me to realize even more that what I encountered in my life is no longer unfortunate. But through these experiences, I can truly comfort others. I can relate with them. And I feel that I can feel their tears, and I can encourage them and truly comfort them. Not only do I no longer think negatively and live in self-pity, but now I can help others to find hope and meaning in life. I overcame my depression. My attitude in life is more positive, and I treasure my life, and I really want to help more people. I'm so thankful I've given this opportunity to realize that through the trip. And I'd also like to invite 2 other students to share their stories.
Hi everyone, my name is Karen. I'm a 4th year student at UBC, and I went to Fiji this last summer, and this trip helped me a lot to develop my leadership skills. Before, I was a very passive and shy person, and this aspect of my personality posed a challenge during my trip because I needed to be proactive and take initiative to reach the students. So thanks to the tutoring program from Light and Love Home, I was able to overcome my shyness, and it also helped me to teach one of my favorite subjects, which is history. And also had the opportunity to hold discussion groups and meet Fijians and also local Indians. This helped me to form very valuable friendships and helped me to gain self-confidence. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ming Mei, and I'm supposed to be a 4th year student here at UBC, but credit screw up, so it's like still 3rd year standing. That's not important. What is important is this opportunity that I've been given this summer to go to Fiji. I really treasure this opportunity because before going on the trip, I actually faced a lot of doubts because a lot of people around me did not support me doing volunteer work, especially the older generation. They would tell me, hey, you are working for no money. You should work for money, you know? But throughout this trip, I was able to help out with the high school tutoring and also with engaging the students also to involve in their community, to do like fun fairs and also cleaning up their community and things like that. And it was a very valuable experience because throughout this, I really can see that although I cannot exactly change all the difficulties that they face in their everyday situations, whether it's in schoolwork or also in their families or in their communities, but what I can try to better is their reality, and I can offer them my support and also my care. And I also realize that although the number of people that I personally can help is limited, but along with all the fellow volunteers from around the world, I believe that our strength is combined, is strengthened, and also is effective. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, 2 of my students emailed me. I don't know how they got a hold of the computer, but they made the effort to email me. And I was so touched because in the email they put in capital letters, thanks so much for your precious time given to us. All this experience and all the people that I met in this trip really helped me to assure to me that the work that we do is important and it is very effective. And I really give thanks for this opportunity because this has really laid the foundations for my inspiration and motivation to continue on with volunteer work in the future. So on behalf of Light and Love Home and everyone, I really want to give thanks to Care Society for everything that they provided us with. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. It's almost 5:30 now, so it's time for the question and answer, and hopefully we can stimulate a good dialogue going. And I'm very pleased that we have some friends here who are going to take notes, and maybe something will come out of your dialogue. Could all the student presenters please come out here? You use this microphone, and I will try to get this one going. And if you have a question, put up your hand. I will bring the microphone to you. Please. Any questions?
So I can't help being a professor here. The national silence to me means something. Either you did not listen, you did not get anything out of the excellent presentations, or you're just a little bit shy and needed some prodding. So here I am. I don't have my cattle prod. But I was wondering if any one of you has questions to any of our presenters. You can direct your question to any of them, or you could ask about some cross-cutting themes. Whoa, that's a big word. I mean, things that you'd like to ask or could apply to any of them, to any of the presentation. Right? Things that might be common to all of those that you heard today. Anyone? Yes, please. See? The cattle prod works. Please, yes, I think the other phone's not working, so please come here because we're trying to record it. Thank you, and you can mention your name and where you come from.
Hi, I'm Teresa from Vancouver. I was just curious, especially for you, I guess, how about did you get your student group going to travel to there? Like there was 4 of you. Did you just know each other and just travel on your own, or did you find a program to, be a part of?
Hello, okay. So our student group, kind of the 4 of us, got together because we were all very interested in international work in occupational therapy, and kind of found this organization and found out what we could do there, and then we gathered because of that. And then we all applied to CARES separately, and then we're all accepted, which was really, really, really good. And then we actually traveled for a couple of weeks before as well, which was a nice bonding experience, and then went into the volunteering at the organization. So we kind of got together just because we all went to school together. There's 48 people in our program, but in particular we were most interested in volunteering in India. There were actually about 10, maybe 12 other students in our class that did other projects, other places in India, St. Vincent. You might see on the bingo cards. We're all over the place, but yeah, some in Uganda. So we definitely were very interested in international travel and just kind of got together because of that. Do you guys want to speak to that question?
The microphone's working.
That's passed. Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, hi. I was just wondering if you guys had any plans to go do any work like South America or Central America, anything like that?
As a group? As us? All of us?
And separate, yeah.
Is that a question directed to all of them, or just...
Yeah, in general. We just came in late to this seminar, so I was wondering if there's any work being done in that geographical region.
I can speak for the people that I went with. So Ashaya, who is one of the blonde girls in our presentation, she is planning to go to South America, like sometime next year. I don't know where though. She's trying to convince me to go if I can save up enough. I'm no longer a student, so I don't think I can apply to CARE. So, anyone else going to South America?
We actually do have programs in Mexico and El Salvador. So we have a Central America. It's in Central America. Yeah, that's right, Central America. Yes.
Yeah, we originally have lined up someone to give a presentation today on Colombia. Yeah, but he or she couldn't make it. Oh, you're here. Right. Well, we got the message that the student couldn't come. Okay. Next time, we'll find another occasion. Any other questions?
Can I just add to that? We have a standing offer, the School of Community Planning and the Center for Human Settlements, to bring a group of SCOP students to Brazil. The only issue is who's going to be the professor who's going to be the student, and it's almost means, right? And I know this is a stretch, but I'm hoping to find the time to bring a group of students to Brazil next time. I think there's another question from the floor.
Yes, I am new to all this, and I'm very impressed with what I've heard. I know that you, as the professor, was the leader of one of the groups to the Philippines. What about the other projects that happen? Are they because of individual student initiatives, or is it done through the university? Is everything done through the university?
Yeah, because this is a form of community service learning that UBC promotes as part of its global citizenship mandate. The students get credits from it. We do have students, for example, who have initiated their own projects. So we have a former SCOP student who, after she graduated, was very instrumental in developing her own project idea. And in fact, we went to CIDA, the Canadian International Development Agency, to fund that 5-year project on community-based watershed management in Santo Andre. And we worked with a number of units here on campus that are interested in environment and natural resource management. So we're hoping our students could also develop projects on their own that our students could support either within a community service learning component, or in our case, we have other spaces within our curriculum that enable our students to initiate their own project through internships, through a practicum, and of course their capstone project, a 6-credit or 12-credit thesis. So all this could be done in a student-driven way, or in my case, more a professor-driven way, and in some cases an institution or through the Planning Institute of British Columbia.
Well, thank you. Well, we actually have Olga here, and she was originally approached to give the presentation on Colombia. So, since you are here, could you briefly say what your project was all about, and perhaps link to some of the things the other presenters have already shared with us, if there's a connection?
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon. I'm sorry we got late. We have something else ongoing. Our initiative is called Accessible Science Initiative, and that was an initiative funded and led by students at UBC. And the vision of the initiative is to promote and improve science education and biotechnology in low and middle income countries. So we started with Colombia this year as a pilot project, and we went 8 volunteers thanks to Care Society, that was the one that sponsored our tickets. Differently to all the previous speakers, what was amazing was that most of us were actually graduate students, which you mean that normally we don't have vacations, like time in the summer that we can go and volunteer. So we actually took time of our own schedules, and we were able to donate it to this project that we all think it was worth it. So it was only one undergrad working with us, and another amazing thing is that our team is actually funded here at UBC, and we are around 40 students, and it's a very interdisciplinary group. It's not only science students from the Faculty of Science, but also students from applied science, arts, business schools, etc. So it was really cool that different students from different backgrounds, we could actually connect and link together to work for a specific goal that was this. In terms of results, it was same as all of you guys. Like, we were actually really in touch with the community. We started with Colombia because some of us were originally from there, so we were able to kind of understand better the culture and the system and everything that we were working on. We were really connected with the community. There was something very special like this, that Colombia, because has been a very troubled country for the couple 10, 20 years, kind of this volunteer work have never happened. So going to a community where they have never seen people from another country coming to actually do community work was actually quite amazing for them, and it was well received. The community was very touched. We were able to approach to work with around 1,000 students, high school students, doing hands-on science activities, working with around 100 school teachers, and working specifically in partnership with the University of Tolima, because we want this project to be sustainable. We just don't want to do the work and then leave, and then they will just stop there. So the University of Tolima will continue working with us and to make this actually to create an impact in the community in the long term. So that was kind of like something that was really touching for us.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes?
So in good form, Nora has prepped, I'm one of the students from SCARP that went with Sarah to the Philippines, one of the 15, and Nora had sent out an email to us to prep us to ask some questions to the other participants. So just a testament to her professorship. So the question that I thought is kind of interesting is the word sustainability has kind of been thrown around in these conversations, and we were talking a lot about social sustainability, economic sustainability with respect to livelihoods. But we also have a challenge facing this generation and generations to come, which is environmental sustainability and the aspect of climate change. So with this in mind, the question is, how can we take advantage of the volunteer opportunities that we have abroad and at the same time reduce our carbon footprint in the future, or the impact that we have on the environment?
Imagine all those carbon emissions from all the flights we took. Can we do it differently? In CARE, how can CARE Society and other sponsoring organizations assist us in reducing our carbon footprint as we do good around the world and locally as well? Who wants to take a stab at it? Sorry about my violent language, but let's take a stab at it and try.
Yes. Can I give it to the guy at the back, and then I come back to you?
One suggestion I have is to just be as efficient as possible when you have that time abroad, even if it's for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 weeks. The more efficient you are, the more you'll be able to use your carbon, essentially, better, and it'll have more impact. And that's just lots of planning in advance of these trips is my suggestion.
I think my suggestion would be to make the project as much as possible sustainable and working with the community itself. So we just work and trying to train the community to in some way they can actually continue working on their own. So we don't need to continue going every year, so we can work with the community and then continue working on the long distance through email, or if it's possible, if they have the actual connections. I think that would be a good way.
That's great. I remember when we first worked on the criteria with Marian about the awards. We did emphasize that we want our applicants to make sure that there will be local partners overseas. So you work with the local partner, number one. You don't go in and impose things on people. You have a partner who will guide you what is workable in that context. And secondly, the idea behind it is that when you are gone, hopefully something is staying with your partner and your work can continue. And also the relationship may continue Right, so this is my little contribution, but I think there is a response here.
As a retired teacher, I see many of my friends, and we get together every week. We travel here, there are many, many trips around the world. And in terms of reduction of carbon footprints, I can see these people, us, who have a lot of time to offer, to work and maybe attach to our travels time for volunteering. I mean, a lot of us volunteer in town, but we make a lot of trips just for leisure. So that's an avenue you might want to pursue.
Thank you. That's a very good idea, and maybe CARE can start reaching out to people who will be traveling anyway, and so they will be generating, a lot of carbon footprint, but they deserve it, maybe because they have been working so hard and this is the only time they can relax and see the world a little. So let them enjoy their trips, but encourage them at the same time to make a contribution here. Yeah, that's your suggestion. And your name is? Helen. Thank you, Helen. Any other questions? Yes? Scott? Also a very important member behind CARE Society.
Thank you all very, very much. Thank you all the students, and certainly thank you, Mary. Thank you, Winnie. My good question is, it sounds like we all wanted these programs to continue, and I understand Winnie is going on to bigger and better things. Are you going to assist us in future?
How can I say no? I know so much, I gain so much. Every time students come back and share their learning, and it was just so gratifying to see that they're not just saying, well, we feel good because we have done good, but that they are saying we are humbled. Now I look at the world differently. I look at myself differently. I recognize how many privileges I have. So I learn from them. I'm inspired by them. So I'm going to be joining Helen's group. Hopefully I can travel, but also do something to make me feel less guilty traveling. And certainly I will be very, very happy and honored to continue working in a different capacity with CARE. So on that note, I want to turn it back to our professor to see whether she has any lessons and wisdom to impart on us.
I've been very impressed with the presentation by Greg earlier, about what CARE Society does. And my students here know that I'm really quite busy, with the teaching and research and graduate program advising work that I do. But I'm also involved with other units on campus that might be able to assist Winnie. And I want to see Winnie's legacy in community engagement really continue here on campus, in whatever unit there might be. So there's the Habitat Exchange, of course, that we have in partnership with the United Nations, UBC, United Nations Habitat Exchange, and certainly through the Center for Human Settlements and SCARP, that we might be able to do the kind of work that would be expected of a university, to help CARE Society, review the proposals. We can get a team of excellent professors around campus who are doing international development work. We have a number of professors who have been sitting on many volunteer sending organizations, CUSO, WIS, Crossroads International. We could tap into their expertise and see how we can, collaborate together and choose the best of our students and the best projects that would show sustainable results. So it's a personal promise, and I really want to thank, Winnie for introducing us to CARE Society, because without her help, our students would not have been funded, and the institutional collaboration, I think, would not have continued. So I have here how many witnesses. And of course, without the help of our students, who would, I'm sure, want to see this carry on.
Well, thank you, Nora. So I hear we have a champion here to continue some kind of partnership. And we can do some more talking afterwards. But I think the formal part of the program comes to a close at this point. I have been remiss in not thanking everyone, especially the volunteers. And also, in the other room, we have all these booths there, and it's, again, because of the volunteers wanting to make the connection, and also for students who have returned, maybe you want to connect to a group here who are people doing work that may appeal to you, and you may find ways of making connections for them. And now, who is in charge here? Yes?
I was a little bit out of turn earlier. Winnie, thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Well, thanks. It should not be about a person, okay? But I'm in a very privileged position to be able to make the connection, so that has been my good fortune. And I want to share everything that I enjoy with you, and so it's just a matter of you stepping forward, and then you can do what I do. And on this note, I want to remind you, in your hands you have a bingo form, so you're going to be set free. You have passes to the other room where you can continue to visit the booths, talk to each other, make the connection, complete your bingo, and claim the prize from Nora. And on this note, I want to thank all of you for coming, giving up a bright sunny afternoon. And I hope it has been a fruitful afternoon for you. So please do not go home yet. Proceed to the other room, and there's refreshment waiting for you. Thank you. So network, make connection.